Let's spend our last quarter hour on global warming and turn to a piece you wrote for TomDispatch.com entitled Living on the Ice Shelf. Let's start this way. What does a stratigrapher do? I hope I pronounced that right.
Well, stratigraphers are geologists who study the history of the Earth as archived and principally in sedimentary strata. That is, they've created a geological timescale, and in recent generations have been able to give it fairly accurate, absolute dates. And the parent body of all stratigraphy is the London Geological Society. This was the home of Victorian English geography and of great geology and of great battles over how to periodize geological history. And for a long time, people have talked about the idea that there was an Anthropocene epoch. We live in something called the Holocene epoch for the last 12,000 years. But it's become popular to talk about the idea that a new geological period has emerged, because of the impact of urban industrial civilization and the fact that urban industrial civilization has become a geological force. But stratigraphers are notoriously conservative about coordinating new geological periods. But in this February, and it was not a news story in any of the major press, the London Society's eminent subcommittee on stratigraphy decided that there was now decisive scientific evidence that we no longer lived in the Holocene, this period of unusually stable, warm climate that has nurtured human civilization. But in fact, geologically, we were in a new period, the Anthropocene, one of whose characteristics would not be so much a warmer world, but far more extreme and abrupt shifts in climate and the likely redistribution of life zones in species as climates change. And this is basically a declaration that the world we've lived in for 12,000 years is over. Welcome to the new world.
And many people concerned about climate change in this new world trust the assessments made by something called the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC. What do you think of the projections made by the IPCC?
Well, what the IPCC does, it doesn't really make projections. It takes scenarios which define different combinations of population growth, energy use, technology. And then in those scenarios, looks at the levels of greenhouse accumulation and considers what needs to be done, to stabilize those accumulations. And in my piece, I make a critique, widely common in scientific circles, that most of these scenarios are far too optimistic, and that they all assume, even some of the darker, more difficult ones, that 60% of the abatement of greenhouse gas and buildup will occur just through an organic or evolutionary process of greater energy efficiency, less carbon emission, leaving 40% or something to be dealt with by specific policies like cap and trade. The problem is that's all a kind of extrapolation from a period when energy efficiency and carbon intensity was in fact decreasing, but it's increased since 2000. And indeed, look around today, what could be more striking than the huge renaissance of the coal industry that's taken place, and the coal industry's success in this election and getting both candidates to sing in unison about the virtues of clean coal, although clean coal technology, carbon capture and sequestration, is only exists in prototype, and most experts don't believe can be brought online if it actually works out until about 2030. The bottom line is simply that the IPCC's goals for 2020 as a benchmark are reducing carbon emissions to a level that ensures that the Earth won't warm more than about 2.2 degrees centigrade over the next century. That threshold has been crossed. In a sense, we've lost the first epical round in the battle against global warming.